Good evening and welcome to Lake Orion High School's natatorium and ONTV's coverage of high school sports. Tonight we have varsity swimming with the Cougars from Stoney Creek coming into Lake Orion to take on the Dragons. The Dragons are currently sitting at 0-1 on the young season, dropping their first dual meet on the road to the Clarkston Wolves. And if this is your first experience with high school swimming, I know it's our first broadcast of a meet here for ONTV at the high school, and we're proud to bring it to you. Here are the events for tonight. First up, we have the 200 medley relay, where each swimmer swims one of the disciplines. Back breast fly or free, we have the 200 free, 200 IM, the 50 free, 1 meter diving with 6 dives, the 100 fly, 100 free, and the 500 free marathon, 20 lengths of the pool. Then you have the 200 free relay, 100 backstroke, 100 breast, and the 400 free relay. Now there'll be exhibition heats and scoring heats. We'll go over that shortly. Now here's the scoring. If you're keeping score at home, relays score 8 points for first, and individuals score only 6 points for first. And diving, there will only be 3 judges, and their total scores will be added and then multiplied by the degree of difficulty. So the more difficult the dive, the higher the score for the diver. So it's a little bit different than the Olympics that we were used to over the summer watching, where instead of medals, points will be awarded. And depth is key for dual meets in high school, that if you have light, you could win every event in a high school swimming meet, but still lose the meet if you do not have the depth on your team. Now, like we said earlier, the Dragons were in action just a short week and a half ago, I believe, against Clarkston on the road, and they lost on the 23rd, 103-83. Now, it was a little closer than the final score, and the big swims of the night were put in by Kristen Abassi in the 200 IM and the 100 back, all wins. Danielle Kudla took the 50 free and the 100 free, and senior diver Katie Corcoran in diving in 6 dives scored 218.10, which I believe is a new varsity record. I'll have to double check that, but 218 is a nice score, and the 400 free relay team clocked in at 347.36 for the W. And we're about ready to have the national anthem here at the natatorium, so we'll take a listen to the national anthem. Good. Swimmers are ready to go, and so are we. This is Orion Neighborhood Television's coverage of high school swimming. I believe our first swim meet tonight ever for ONTV. I want to thank our volunteer camera crew here, John Lines and Tom Watson, for coming out and running cameras for us. I'm your announcer, Ian Locke. And the first event tonight, we have the 200 medley relay. And the Dragons will be in the odd number lanes, 3, 5, and 7, with Stoney Creek sitting in 2, 4, 6, and 8. The Dragons will be fielding A, B, and C relays. The A relay is Bethany Abramchek, Courtney McClear, Danielle Kudla, and Natalie Zanea. I hope I'm saying that right. And in Clarkston, they clocked in at 156.92, which is just over 2 seconds short of the Division I state cut. So we might see a state qualifying time tonight. And this, looking at this squad here from Stoney Creek, they have Hicks, Wasaki, Schurig, and Reynolds. 2 seniors, 2 sophomores going against the Dragons A team with 2 sophomores, 1 freshman, and one senior in Courtney McClear. So the first racer will be going 50 yards backstroke. That is down and back. This is a 25-yard pool, unlike the Olympic-sized pool, which is 50 meters long. The backstrokers will start in the water, and we need to look for exchanges. Exchanges are very important here. You don't want to leave the block too early, or you will be disqualified. As we see the Bramchick in the water, ready to go for the Dragons, and it's off. We're underway here for the first home meet of the season, and the Bramchick is away nicely with a slight lead already. A nice start for the Dragons. The other Dragon relay is Wilgards, Horvath, Austriaco, and Haddon. And relay C is Kevnik, Slazinski, Alisayo, and Barrow. As we have the exchange here in the breaststroke leg, Courtney McClear, the senior breaststroker, very experienced. She is in the water and on her way and extending the lead nicely. Bramchick, her split at the 50 for backstroke was 30.55, so a nice start. Anytime you get a high school backstroker very close to under 30, you know you're flying through the pool, so that's good to see for the Dragons. Dragons currently in first and second place. Relay B, Nicole Horvath in the breaststroke leg for Relay B as the exchange takes place. Butterfly, that is Kudla, and she is taking it out at a furious pace. Coming home nicely and extending that lead. Courtney McClear, her split for the 50 breast in this relay, as we have the exchange here, was 35.89, so a nice 50 split. And the anchor leg here is swum by Zanea. She is a freshman on this squad, and she is flying as well. The question now is, will they make a state cut with this finish here, as you see the other two relays for the Dragons and Stoney Creek continuing on as the Dragons finish, and they take first place in the relay. That's 8 points for the Dragons, and in a time of 2 minutes flat, .54, so they are about 4 seconds slower than they were against Clarkston, as the B for the A relay team for Stoney Creek finishes. Stoney Creek finishes second in 2:12.24, 12 seconds behind the Dragons' top relay. And Stoney Creek B relay will also take second place. So it looks like 6 points for the relays for Stoney Creek to 8 for the Dragons. As you can see, we talked about depth and how important it is to have strong relays and strong depth. Relay C for the Lake Orion finished 4th. And Stoney Creek Relay C finished 5th as we conclude here. The next event up is the 200 freestyle. And in Heat 2, we're going to have the scoring heat will be Heat 2 of, in Lane 2, Kylie Brandon, Bethany Bramchick, Lane 3, Sydney Schurig, Lane 4, Kristen Abassi, Lane 5, Allie Tudor in Lane 6, Kara Calvert in Lane 7, and Katie Munson in Lane 8, swimming exhibition. Now on your screen, we see the results of the 200 medley relay. The times on your right-hand side. Now, this is a brand new scoreboard, so we're all have to get used to deciphering what we see here. It is a beautiful scoreboard that can play video, and the scoring is just amazing here. So some upgrades to facilities here at the natatorium, and I believe we have a little delay here while they work through a little technical problem. But again, the Heat 2 of the 200 free, we're going to look at, make sure we keep our eyes on Bethany Abramchek, who just swam the medley relay, and that's always tough to get out after exerting yourself in one to spin around and have to hop into the 200 free. And the 200 freestyle is 8 lengths of the pool. It's not quite a sprint. It's not quite a distance, so it's one of those in-betweeners, so there is a lot of race strategy needed for the 200 freestyle. And Abramczyk came in at 2:01.01 at Clarkston. Kristen Abassi, the freshman, in lane 5. Kara Calvert in lane 7. Now we don't have, for Abassi, we don't have a time for her just yet. This might be the first time she's swum the 200 in competition. But Kara Calvert, the sophomore for Lake Orion, went 2:21.61 at Clarkston. And here it is, the scoring heat of the 200 freestyle. Again, Stoney Creek is in lanes 2, 4, 6, and 8. It looks like lane 8 is an exhibition. So Katie Munson for the Cougars will be swimming exhibition, which means even if she wins, that will not be scored. And the Dragons are taking it out early. So far, the Dragons sitting comfortably at 1 and 2 with Stoney Creek on their heels. Abramczyk is in the lead. Oh, it's a virtual dead heat between her and Abassi, taking it out. And Sydney Schurig, the senior for Stoney Creek, is trying to stay on their heels right there, as you see where our main camera is on the leaders. They are virtually a dead heat. Turning, let's take a look at some of these split times. First 50 split for both is, wow, 27.79 for Abramczyk. Abassi is 27.93, virtually identical. You hear the crowd cheering on the swimmers here. That is the encouragement of the Lake Orion swimmers cheering on their teammates, as it looks like Abramczyk is slightly pulling ahead and pulling away, but the two Dragon swimmers here are comfortably in the lead. Let's take a look at their other 50 split. Was Abramczyk had 30.20, Abassi at 30.05. And that is basically a dead heat, as we can see right now. Abramczyk pulling away, really putting that kick, looking super strong on the finish. And that is the 200 free. Dragons go 1-2. Nice way to finish. So far 2 wins in back-to-back events. Third place was Sydney Schurig in 2:09.29. And the final for Abramczyk was 2:01.01. And I believe she was seated, or excuse me, 2:01.01 was her time against Clarkston. And wow, she dropped nearly 3 seconds at 1:58.88, just shy of the Division I state cut time. As you see the results there, Abramczyk is first. Second place is Abassi. Third place was Schurig. And we're moving on to the 200 IM. IM stands for individual medley, and each swimmer swims all 4 disciplines, starting with fly, back, breast, and finishing with the freestyle. And the IM, we have lane 2, Katie Wysocki, Courtney McClear for Lake Orion, lane 3, Alyssa Novelli in lane 4, Lydia Matar in lane 5 for Lake Orion, Katie Reynolds in lane 6 for the Cougars, and in lane 7 we have Katrina Austriaco for Lake Orion, and Sabrina Toporisco in lane 8, swimming exhibition. And this is one of the most grueling events that you would swim in high school. Believe me, I know. I swam at every meet many years ago. It is a killer. So far we have a really close race here between Alyssa Novelli and Lydia Matar in lane 5. So this is head-to-head here. What are we going to see happen? Matar pulling ahead just slightly. Again, the Dragons are in the odd number lanes. Stoney Creek in the even number lanes. The IM is always an interesting race to watch because, at least in my experience, you have some swimmers who are very, very skilled at some of the specialty strokes like breaststroke or butterfly, but are weaker in others. So if you're a strong breaststroke or strong fly, you usually can get by with an adequate backstroke, and everybody who's a swimmer usually has a pretty decent freestyle. In lane 5, that is Lydia Matar pulling away. You can see she's got a very nice, smooth breaststroke, two-hand touch on the end. Legal turn, very good, nice and snappy. And now we're in the freestyle leg and the home stretch. Dragons looking to go 1-2 with McClear following. McClear, the senior. Courtney McClear swam the 200 medley. And Matar is taking it home. Matar had a nice split for the breaststroke. 38-4-2, and she takes the win. Dragons go 1-2. So far this meet here against the Cougars is looking very solid here for the Dragons. They are really taking it to the Cougars. Third place was Katie Reynolds from the Cougars. Alyssa Novelli takes 4th, and Katie Wisaki takes 5th. So Dragons go 1-2. While the Cougars go 3, 4, and 5. As the results there, they had the splits there, but Matar, nice swim at 2:23. What is the Division I cut time? Is 2:15, but she is inside the Oakland County cut time, so she'll swim at the county meet in that event. She qualifies. Next up, we have the 50 free, the big time sprint. This is one of the fastest, or it's the fastest, shortest race you're going to see. Division I cut time is a 25:19, which is super fast. Oakland County cut time is 26:99 to qualify for the county meet. And this is an exhibition heat. Oh, swimmers in the pool. Losing their balance. They show their experience usually. Well, we should talk about false starts. In high school, years ago, you used to be able to you get one false start. If you fell in the pool, you could get out, hop back up, and start your race. They found swimmers using it to an advantage to get in the pool and get a couple strokes in, so they changed it to the Olympic standard that if you fell in, you're done. But since this is an exhibition heat, non-scoring, and some inexperienced swimmers here, they're going to let it go. So here are the swimmers in this exhibition heat for Stoney Creek: Rachel Zargar, for Lake Orion, Katie Morgan, Janai Chitman for Stoney Creek, Angela Kempter, Emily Mao for Stoney Creek. Lake Orion is Erin Barrow, and for Stoney Creek, Ashuri Josie in lane 8. Katie Morgan for Lake Orion will win this heat. Nicely done by Morgan. And she finishes in 35:01 to take heat 1 of the 50 free, as you see the other swimmers finishing there. That was Angela Kempter finishing there, the freshman for Lake Orion. And there are the finals there. Now we have heat 2. In lane for Lake Orion, we have Ariana Eliseo. Hope I'm saying that right. Jessica Willakonis and Mariana Gonzalez Rodriguez. For Stoney Creek, we have Molly Moaning, Morgan Formicola, Kira McKay, and Jennifer Jew. This is the second heat. I see here for Lake Orion, Willakonis is a junior. These are all exhibition heats again. Some of these swimmers are new to the program, so you want to get a baseline for this event. Ariana Lasso for Lake Orion is taking it out, doing a nice job, the sophomore. She might not be too far off of moving up to the scoring heat in the later stage of this season because she has taken it out nicely. Let's see what she finishes at. She'll be sub 30 for sure. Very nice, 29.17. It's always good to be sub 30 in your 50 free. It's a good baseline for the coaches to determine where you're going to be later in this season. So Heat 3 is coming up, and Heat 3 is the scoring heat we have for Lake Orion. Sarah Haddon, Danielle Kudla, Natalie Zanea, and for the Cougars we have Hicks, Martin, Bellinger, and Patel. Here we go. Lane 6, Allison Ballinger taking it out strong. So far in the lead, Stoney Creek out front, but the Dragons are closing. Natalie Zanea. Natalie's nice time. Zanea had a time coming in at 26.68. She finishes at 25.5. Oh, that's a Division II cut. But she's very, very close to the Division I time. Kudla, 25.75. Ballinger for Stoney Creek is third, and Sarah Haddon, the senior, takes fourth, and Avery Hicks for Stony Creek takes fifth. So a 1-2-4 finish in the 50. We'll be back with diving after this short timeout. You're watching ONTV's coverage of high school swimming. Stay tuned. Video classes are now enrolling. Call 248-693-3377 to reserve your seat today. A service of Orion Neighborhood Television. And welcome back to the natatorium here on the campus of Lake Orion High School. 1 meter diving is next, and I'm looking at a list here. 10 divers tonight. And first up is Ashton Carvalho. A freshman for the Dragons is up. She is diving exhibition. Our order is Lizzie Sinclair, Brittany Levering, Shelby Olin, Abigail Slater, Julia Mead, Katrina Bowen, Sarah Olachowski, Katie Cochran, and Becky Freed. Back dive straight position. A little over rotation on that one, but nicely done. It'll be scored. 2-3-2, 11.9 points total for that dive. For Ashton. Lizzie Sinclair for the Cougars is up next. She's also a first-year high school swimmer. Back dive straight. Nicely done. 2-3-2 for 11.90 on that dive, so it looks like an identical score for Lizzie Sinclair. Now Sinclair is also diving exhibition, so her dives don't count in the standings. Now sometimes divers go exhibition because they don't have the required 6 dives to compete for the full event. So you dive exhibition just to get that experience as you're developing your diving repertoire through the season. Up next we have Brittany Levering, the sophomore for Lake Orion. She is also exhibition. Looks like she's waiting for the go-ahead from coach. Diving is a very difficult discipline. You have to have a lot of nerve to get up on the 1 meter board in front of a big crowd of people as they try to, looks like we have, again, scoring issues here with the new scoreboard. As you see the judges there, and the judge usually is the umpire and the 2 diving coaches from the competing schools. There's the adjusted score. I see 3, 3, 5, and 4, 7.85. That was adjusted score for Lizzie Sinclair. All right, Brittany Levering Back dive straight. When I attempted diving back in my youth, I was always pleased to say, well, I survived that one. It is so nerve-wracking. So we'll see what the scores are for Brittany. They're delayed a little bit. Again, there's a new scoring system here at the high school. Degree of difficulty on that, when you see DD, it means degree of difficulty, is 1.7. So the total scores here are added up and multiplied by 1.7, and that is your total award here for the diving. Still waiting for her scores. I want to encourage all of the viewers to come out to the meet. Swimming meets are very, very exciting affairs. You can hear the cheering and from the crowd and from the participants. And we can see the head, the meet ref heading over to take a look to see what the holdup is, make sure that all the scoring is done accurately. And while he does that, you can see the diving coaches for Stoney Creek and Lake Orion just kind of taking it easy, waiting for it to be resolved. But one thing, we encourage all you guys to come out and support these girls, these hardworking student athletes, and cheer them on. They don't get as much recognition as, let's say, the football team or the baseball team or basketball or even soccer for that matter, and that's why we're here to shed a light on how good this program has been over the years and is continuing to be. They have a great club team called the Liquid Lightning here at Lake Orion that feeds swimmers of an age group level starting at the 8 and under ranks and develops the swimmers all the way up to prepare them for high school competition and beyond. Oh, you hear the announcement. There's a brand new scoring system in the scoreboard. It's a fabulous system. I talked with LO AD Bill Reese about it. He said it's just an amazing system, but it's just a matter of, you know, a little bit of growing pains, making sure that the operators know what's going on here. All right, Shelby Olin for Stoney Creek. She's also a freshman, is up next. She's diver number 4. See the sun coming through the skylight here. Might be a distraction for the divers. Who's trained right on the end of the diving board. Back dive straight, nicely done. That should score nicely for Olin, for Shelby Olin. 3, 4, 4.5. So nicely done there for Shelby. And Abigail Slater is up next, freshman for Lake Orion here. And this is the scoring rounds. Exhibition divers were 1 through 4, and 5 through 10 will be the scoring. Will be scoring for their team. Back dive in the pike position. Degree of difficulty obviously is higher than just a back dive straight, so 3.5, 3.5, 2.5 for 15.2 for Slater. Julia Mead for the Cougars will be doing a back dive straight. Nicely done. Very nice in the air. The senior Julia Mead should score nicely on that dive. 5.5, 4, and 6. 26.35 for the one dive. She currently sits in first place. Nicely done, Julia Mead. Now, when you see the Olympic diving, they have so many judges. Usually they drop the 2 highest and 2 lowest scores, but in high school diving, they take all 3, add them up, and multiply it by the degree of difficulty. Nicely done by Bowen. Katrina Bowen, the sophomore. Back dive pike, nicely done. 5-4 and 5, 22.6. Nice score for Bowen. Sarah Olachowski for the Cougars. She's a senior. 3 senior divers in the scoring round here for the, two senior divers for Stoney Creek. Back dive pike, a little short on the entry, but nicely done, should score nicely. 4, 3.5, 4 for 19.2. So far, Julia Mead is the class of the back dives at this stage of the game. Now, senior Katie Corcoran, one of the captains on this Dragon Club, is up. Back dive pike, just a little short on the entry. 5-4-5, 22.4. So Mead holds the lead here for the Cougars so far in this early stages of the diving. Becky Freed here for the Cougars to finish out the first round. She's also a senior. Back dive pike, nice elevation, nice entry too. Becky Freed. 6, 6.5, 6.5, 30.4, and Freed moves to the lead with Mead following. Nicely done by the Cougar divers. Back to our first diver, it's Ashlyn Carvalho. Dive tuck. 2-3-2, 9.8 on that dive for Carvalho. Back one somersault in the tuck position is the next up for Lizzie Sinclair for the Cougars. Again, the divers tonight will be doing 6 dives. Nicely done. Nice control in the air by Sinclair. 3-5-5. Quite an adjustment there in the scores, but 19.5. That's a good score. Brittany Levering up for Lake Orion. Back dive, I think it's a flip in the tuck position. She really flung herself around there to make the rotation. 2.5, 2.5, 1 for 9 points. So the 1 tells you that the judge number 3 was close to giving a fail on that. And if you do fail the dive, you do not receive a score. Shelby Olin is up next for Stoney Creek. Flipping the tuck position. Nice job straightening out at the end to go in. And on a back dive, 4.5, 4.5, 20.25. Nice job for Olin. Now entry for a flip. If you're going in feet first, your hands must be at your side. It's a lot easier to enter with your hands above your head, but that is a deduction. Abigail Slater for Lake Orion. Nicely done. Little over rotation there, a little less rotation, and that would score extremely well. Slater. 3-4-4, 16.5. Nicely done by Slater. And here is Julia Mead. We saw her do a really nice back dive straight in the first round. Back and a half, a little short on the entry. 1.5. But again, the degree of difficulty is higher. It's at 2.0, so 4, 3.5, 4, 23 points for that one dive alone. Here's Julia Mead, or excuse me, Katrina Bowen. Sophomore for Lake Orion. Back and a half. Kick out was a little early again. 3.5, 4, 22 points for Bowen. She's still in the hunt. Pulling these more difficult dives is always an advantage. Olakowski here diving 8th for Stoney Creek. I think that was in the straight position, the back dive flip. In the straight position, 4, 6.5, 4.5 for 24 points, 6.5. That's a nice score there by the second judge. Katie Corcoran is up for Lake Orion. Back and a half, nicely done by the senior. Nice entry, very controlled. This should score really well. If that previous dive was a 6.5, here are 6, 6, and 7. 38 points for one dive for Katie. Nicely done. I thought they might go 6.5s, considering what that previous score was for Olakowski. I think Katie's going to be taking the lead here after this final dive. Nice entry there by Brecky Freed. She's answered the call. Nicely done. Shouldn't score higher than, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 36 points. So one judge thought it was better than Katie's. And we're back for the third round. Here's Ashton for Lake Orion, her third dive. Now some of the exhibition divers might not stick around for all 6. We'll see how it pans out over the next couple rounds. Front dive straight. A little bit too much momentum off the end of that board, but that'll score. 2-3-3, 11.2. Lizzie Sinclair, inward dive tuck for her third dive. And the scores here for Lizzie. 4, 3.5, 4, 16.1. Here's Brittany's third dive, the sophomore. See, that sun has moved a little bit. That can be quite distracting to the divers. Inward tuck, nicely done. Brittany Levering, nice dive there on the inward tuck. 4.5, 4.5 for 18.2. Inward dive tuck here for Shelby Olin. Again, nice crowd on hand for this first home dual meet. Looks to be about 100 people here in the stands cheering on these Dragons. Tuck. She fought that one into the water to make sure she got in there. 4, 2.5, 4. So they were, some of the judges liked that one. 14.7 for Shelby Olin. Some of the scores are fluctuating quite a bit from judge to judge, but that is diving. It's like gymnastics, very subjective. It's the person in the chair who's deciding what they like about the dive or not. And here's Abby Slater. Inward pike, nice entry. It's always good to have a solid entry with no splash. That's the last thing the judges see. 5.5, 4.5, 5, 22.50. Nice score there for Abby Slater. Here's Julia Mead, who has thrown a couple really nice dives, and she's in the hunt here. Inward 1.5. Whoa, she was close to that board. Made me flinch in my seat there for a little bit. Gave me the wowsies. 4.5, 4, 4, 27.5. Inward 1.5. High degree of difficulty, 2.2. So a nice score for Mead, but she was very close to that board. And here's Katrina Bowden, diving 7th for the Dragons. Inward 1.5. A lot of height, a lot of rotation on that one. That should score well. 4, 4.5, 4, 27.5. For Katrina, nicely done. Here is Sarah Olachowski for her third dive. Tuck. Little over rotation on that one, but that was a nice dive. It'll score. 4.5, 4, 4, 17.5. So Katie Cochran is starting to pull out the upper level dives here, which you'll see shortly. This is probably one of the most difficult ones you'll see this evening. Back dive with a back dive 1.5 with a half twist. 6, 6.5, 6. 2.1 degree of difficulty, 38.85 points. You can see that's a staple of her diving regimen here. She pulled that off without even a blink. Nicely done. Puts her easily into first place after the third dive. Here's Becky Freed. Inward 1.5 in the tuck position. Scores 4.5, 4.5, 5, 30.80. Nice score there for Freed. She's in the hunt as well. And here is Ashton's fourth dive for Lake Orion. Again, exhibition does not score, and the first 4 divers in the round are all exhibition divers. Front dive tuck. Now that should be That should be scoreable. 2 across the board, 8.4 points for that dive for Ashton. Up next is Lizzie Sinclair for her 4th dive. I'm looking at a sheet here and it says Lake Orion girls varsity record set by Katie Corcoran, 203.25 points. Front dive in the tuck position for Sinclair. That's at risk of going down. I believe she broke that at Clarkston with 218.10 as we see 2.5, 3.5, and 4, 12 points for Sinclair. So we might have a new varsity record tonight if Katie Corcoran continues on with her stellar dives tonight. Here's levering. Front dive straight. 2.5, 3.5, 3, 12.6. Shelby Olin for her 4th dive. Front dive in the tuck position, I believe. That should score. It's very close. Her tuck was kind of a flash. 3, 3, 3.5, so not as risky as I thought it would be. 11.4 for Olin. Now we have Abigail Slater up. Reverse dive in the tuck position. Nicely done. Those are challenging dives. 4, 5, 3. 19.2. 5, 4, 3. That's quite a swing. Julia Mead up for her 4th dive, and she needs to throw a good one to stay in the hunt here. Nicely done in the pike position. That's 1.5 in the pike position. And 5, 5.5, 6, 28.9 points on one dive for Mead, and she does just that. So Becky Freed, Katie Cochran, and Julia Mead are kind of the front runners here. We'll see what Katrina Bowden can do for her 4th. Nicely done. Front dive in the pike position. Great entry. Bowden, 6, 5.5, 6.5, 30.6 points. Nicely done by the sophomore. Here's Sarah Olachowski here for her 4th dive. Flip in the tuck position. 4.5, 4.5, 5, 22.4.
Katie, dive 52.23D, back 1 somersault, 1.5 twist 3, 2.3.
Back 1.5 with 1.5 somersaults here. I can't keep track of all the different elements to her dive. Nicely done. Great entry. Katie Cochran should score nicely. 6, 5.5, 5, 37.95. That extends her lead with 2 dives to go. Here's Becky Freed. Dive 1.5 in the pike position. Nicely done. Good entry for her 4th dive. 5.5, 6.5, 6.5, 31.45 points.
Round 5, Ashton, dive 301C, reverse dive, tuck 1.6.
So the front runners are Freed, Mead, Cochran, and Bowden. Believe
Diver is Elizabeth, dive 102C, forward 1 somersault, tuck 1.4.
believe Ashton is done for the evening. Front dive tuck. Excuse me, front flip tuck. Sinclair, 4.4, 4.5. That is Lizzie Sinclair. Her 5th dive. So it looks like Ashton Carvalho is done. She didn't have 6 dives just yet. And we have Levering up for her 5th dive. Front flip in the tuck position. Nicely done. Nice and smooth in the air. I like how she did that one. 4, 4.5, 17.5. And here is Shelby Olin for her 5th. Front flip in the tuck position. And the awards, 3.5, 3.5, 4, 15.4 points for Olin. And Abby Slater here for Lake Orion. Dive in the pike position. Three and a half across the board for 13.65. Julia Mead. She's going to make a move here to get close to Becky Freed and Cochran. She'll need a nice solid dive. That's a double. And entry was a bit tough, but 4.5, 27.5, because the difficulty was 2.2. So it's going to be close. It depends on what the other 2 front runners are going to throw here for their 5th. And here is Katrina. She also throws a double. Should score similarly to the one that Mead did, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 30.8.
Sarah, dive 103C, forward 1.5 somersault tuck, 1.6.
Here is Sarah for her 5th dive for Stoney Creek. One and a half in the tuck position. Four and a half, 4.4 for 20 points. Katie up for Lake Orion here, looking to extend her lead on her 5th dive. The last 2 have been at a very high level and have been scored as such. Inward 1.5 with a fantastic entry. 7, 6.5, 7. Highest scores of the night, 45.10. That should vault her way to the top, almost unreachable, barring a failed dive here for Katie. So it looks like she may lock this up with that spectacular inward 1.5. Nicely done by Freed. She's come on strong on this round. 6, 5.5, 6, 38.50. Nicely done on the double. 2 somersault tuck. Here's a. Is this Lizzie Sinclair?
Okay, divers Elizabeth Sinclair, dive 5111A, forward dive, 1/2 twist straight, 1.8.
This is Lizzie's final dive. Front dive half twist. That'll score. 3, 2.5, 2 for 13.5.
3, 2.5, 2.
Her final tally is 96.45.
Dive 5111A, forward dive, 1/2 twist straight, 1.8.
Here's Shelby Olin. Looks like levering is done for the evening. She didn't have a 6th. Forward dive half twist. 3-1-3, 12.6. And her final is 93.90. And Abby Slater for the Dragons, her 6th dive. Forward 1.5 in the tuck position. A little rough on the landing, but she made a rotation. 4.33, 16 points. And her total 103.05 for the night for Abby Slater. Now here's Julia Mead with her final dive of the night. Reverse in the pike position. Nicely done. Way to end for Julia Mead. Nice and controlled in the air. That should score nice. 6, 5.5, and a 7. 31.45 for a 164.7 total. Nicely done by Mead, but I don't know. That is not going to be enough to catch Corcoran. Here's Katrina. Reverse flip in the tuck position. A lot of elevation on that one. And over-rotate a little bit, but she kept her control. 2.5, 4, 4, 16.8. Katrina Bowden, excuse me, 150.12 is her total. Here's Olachowski. Reverse flip in the tuck position. 4.5, 4.5, 5.5, 23.2. And her final total is 126.3. Now here is Katie Corcoran's final dive of the night for the Dragons. Nicely done. Double in the pike position and a solid entry. 6, 5, 5.5, 37.95. A total of 220.25 points, and that is 2 points better, just over 2 points better than her performance in Clarkston. And here is Freed. She throws out a toughie at the end there. And a good way to finish here for the Dragons and the Cougars. 5.5, 5, 5.5, 30.4. So Becky freed. It looks like Katie Cochran has it. Here are the results. Katie Cochran with the win. Katrina Bowden is 4th, and Abigail Slater is 6th for the Dragons, but 220.25 is a new varsity record according to the sheet I have in front of me. And it eclipses her score that she pulled in at Clarkston by over 2 points and sets a new varsity standard here. Katie Cochran, nice way to conclude diving here. We'll be prepared for the swimming event again. We'll be back after this short timeout. You're watching ONTV's coverage of high school swimming. Video classes are now enrolling. Call 248-693-3377 to reserve your seat today. A service of Orion Neighborhood Television. Welcome back to LOHS and ONTV's coverage of high school swimming. If you want to be a part of ONTV, the first step is orientation. Reserve your seat today. Call 248-693-3377. Orientation is free of charge, and it's your first step to becoming a part of Orion Neighborhood Television. If you ever wanted to make your own television show, come on out to orientation and learn about ONTV and sign up for classes. Classes are just $10 for residents. Next up, we have the 100-yard butterfly. In lane 2 for Stoney Creek, we have Paparusco. In lane 4, Novelli. Lane 6, Marciniak. And lane 3 for the Dragons, Austriaco. Kudla in lane 5, and lane 7, Horvath.
Stoney Creek, Katie Marciniak. Lane 7, Lincoln.
And the Dragons are coming out swinging. Danielle Kudla out strong. Her first 50 split 29-6-2, sub 30-50 fly. Very nice. Stoney Creek is in second place currently. That is Alyssa Novelli, excuse me. Her first split was a 31-4-5, but it is Danielle Kudla bringing it home, the sophomore from Lake Orion. Nicely done, wins it easily. 102.95 takes the win, and that is an Oakland County A time. As the rest finish here, fly is always a challenging event, and here are the results. Kudla takes it with Novelli for Stoney Creek in second. Stoney Creek takes third. Capriosco, and they take fourth as well. Horvath comes in fifth place with 1 point for the Dragons. Austriaco comes in sixth for Lake Orion. Next up is 100 free.
In lane 1, Lake Orion, Aaron Barrow. Lane 2,
this is heat
Stoney Creek,
1.
Lane 3,
Exhibition heats here for the 100 freestyle. 4 links to the pool. We have Barrow in lane 1, Jew in lane 3, Bow in lane 4, Kempter in lane 5, McKay in lane 6, and Moaning in lane 8. Allie Bow for Stoney Creek currently in the lead at this juncture of the 100 free in the heat 1. Non-scoring heat. This is exhibition. Still in the lead. Looks like Stoney Creek, Allie Bow, and Kara McKay for Stoney Creek are leading this heat here. This is good experience for the younger swimmers, or those who are just developing their swimming, to get into some meet action, to actually have a race experience. Because yes, you can practice all day long, but it's different once you're solo up there on the lanes and in the block and ready to go. As the participants here finish heat 1 of the 100 free. Lane 5, that's Angela Kempter for Lake Orion, the freshman swimmer, doing her best to finish. Swimming is a lot more difficult than those of you who have never tried it before would ever understand. It is not an easy sport. And a lot of determination on Kempter there to finish, to a nice solid round of applause there by the Dragon faithful. Kempter finishes with 158.58. And we're on to Heat 2. Heat 2 of 3 in the 100 free. And for Stoney Creek, we have Gonzalez Rodriguez, Elisao, lane 5, lane 4, Shurkanth, I believe. Lane 6 is Yesau, and 8th is Sinclair. For the Dragons, we have, that was the Dragons. For the Cougars, we have Eklund, Skrinath, Yesau, and Sinclair. Boy, I just messed those up, didn't I? Try that again once this race gets underway. Some crazy last names that the announcer has to read. It's a lot harder than you think. All right, for Lake Orion, Gonzalez Rodriguez, that's Mariana in lane 1. Lane 3, Elisao, it's Ariana. Lane 5, Jessica Willaconis. Lane 7, Katie Morgan. Lane 2, we have Savannah Eklund for the Cougars. Lane 3, Surikanth for the Cougars. Lane 6, Jade Yesau and Maggie Sinclair in lane 8. I know how to get it out. First 50 concluded here in the second heat of the 100 free. And Ariana Elisao for Lake Orion, the sophomores, in the lead in this heat. A bit of trouble there for a Lake Orion swimmer on the lane ropes. Elisao, though, Ariana doing a nice job, coming home strong. She finishes at 106.58. Nicely done at 106. I foresee her approaching the 1 minute mark as the season goes along. As the other swimmers finalize their last 50 and come in. Again, that was Heat 2, non-scoring heat exhibition. Elisao takes the win there. Her first split was a 34.47. Which is a very respectable time. And here's the finals. Scoring finals here for Stoney Creek, we have Savar, Martin, Bellinger, and Felix. For the Dragons, Zainea, Abramczyk, and Haddon. And we're off. Abramczyk takes it out, the sophomore. She's no nonsense. Nice tight turn, very good. Excellent form in the pool. And Abramczyk has speed to burn. You can see it right there, just pulling away from the field at the first 50. 26.48, a blistering pace. Division I state cut time is 54.79. She's going to come close to that if she can hang out for the second 50. And she is way out in front, doing a nice job. Natalie Zanea is in second, holding second. Her first 50 was 27.8. As Abramczyk comes in at 54.93, just off the state one cut time by 0.2. Natalie Zanea comes in at 56.6 for the Oakland County A cut time. Ballinger, Martin, and Haddon round out the top 6 scoring, with Anisha Saver going 106, the sophomore for Stoney Creek, for the top 6 places. Here's the 500 free, 20 lengths of the pool. And for Stoney Creek, we have Erica Kevnick. For Lake Orion, Erica Kevnick, Kara Calvert, Kristen Abassi, and Lydia Matar.
In lane 1, Stoney Creek.
Lane 2, we have Kylie Brandon, Sydney Schurig, Allie Tudor, and Abby Sagmeister.
Lane 5, Lake Orion.
500 is a brutal event. It is a distance. 500 yards, 20 lengths to the pool. The swimmers have the assistance of their teammates counting for them at the end of the pool. They do receive a warning at the last 50. Back in the day, it used to be a gunshot, a blank. Now I believe they ring a bell. It's a little more subtle as we're in the third lap of this event. And we move ahead in time. The Dragons are way out in front. Kristen Abassi way out front, leading this field. With Lydia Matar not too far behind, but also on the lead lap. You see the red card there showing on the final lap. Kristen Abassi will cruise in. The Division I state cut time is 5:18.79. She'll come close. 5:24.03. She'll have that state cut time before the end of this season is out. That is a guarantee. And Lydia Matar finishes second in 5:36.87. That is also a better than the Oakland County A cut time. And Sydney Schurig for Stoney Creek finishes third at 5:45.43 for the Oakland County C cut time. And a nice close finish there for fourth. That was Kylie Brandon for Stoney Creek. She scores 2 points for her club, as you see the results up on the screen. And Carol Calvert scores a point for the Dragons, coming in at 6:05.50, just being out-touched by Kylie Brandon. 200 freestyle relay. This is a quickie. Each swimmer swims just a 50. Dragon A relay of Abramczyk, McClear, Matar, Abassi. Relay B for Dragons, Horvath, Haddon, Calvert, Elisau. A relay for Stoney Creek, Novelli, Martin, Patel, and Wasaki. Dragons are in the lead. Abramczyk out front, the sophomore, showing what she has, man. Doing a nice job at the exchange. Good speed for the Dragons. Abramczyk's first 50 was a 25.7.1. Nicely done. And clear in the water now for the Dragons in the A relay. On the lead there, you see with Stoney Creek hot on her heels, that is Abby Martin, the sophomore, in the pool trying to catch her. Clear keeping her distance, got a body length lead here for the exchange. The third body in the water, Lydia Matar and Rhea Patel for Stoney Creek. Matar taking it out. McClear had a 28.3 for her split. And a solid lead, still a body length and some change. Looks like she's pulling away. Kristen Abassi here for the anchor leg, and usually you have your gunner on your anchor leg. The freshman's in the water, and she's on her way. Lake Orion B relay exchanges there. And yes, Abassi does what she's expected to do and does it nicely, extending that lead by 2 body lengths already. This A relay team went 150.01 at Clarkston. Division I cut time is 142.89. They are going to be close. 147.74. So they are just shy of the D3 cut, but they better the time for the A relay by 3 seconds, or just under 3 seconds. So improvement's always good, but they are off the state cut time by about 5 seconds. Stoney Creek finishes second, 152.46. Katie Wasaki, the anchor leg, went 28.71 compared to Abassi at 26.59. So you can see the difference in time there for the W. Lake Orion's doing a nice job in the relays, really racking up the points with the wins. And third place is Lake Orion B relay of Horvath, Haddon, Calvert, and LaSalle. They improved the B relay time by 3 seconds and earned 2 points for the Dragons. As you see the results there, Lake Orion A takes it in commanding style, and they'll be in the hunt for a state cut time down the line. Again, this is only the second dual meet of the season.
Event number 10, 100-yard backstroke.
We're on to the 10th event, the 100-yard backstroke. State cut time is 101.49 for Division I. And I believe we have exhibition. This is the exhibition heat we have for Stoney Creek. Jade Yassau in lane 2. Yassau, I think they're calling her. I'll go with the PA announcer. Eklund, Bow, and Young. And the lone dragon in this race is in lane 3, Rachel Cullen. Oakland County C cut time is 108.99. The A cut time is 105.61. Looks like Cullen for the Dragons is leading this heat, doing a nice job. Her first 50 was a 37.67 and has a body and a half leg lead over the nearest Stoney Creek competitor. She's the lone dragon, so good to see she's racing hard out there. She'll have a nice time coming in here at the stretch. Nice strong kick. You need to keep the form and your head steady. Lunge to that wall for the strong finish, and she does so. Nicely done. Last 50 is a 39.41 for her split for a 117.08 in the win in that heat. Cullen does not have an X next to her name, so she's not exhibition. And the results there on the screen there. Eklund and Formicola for Stoney Creek take second and third in that heat. Scoring heat here for tonight's event. This is a scoring heat for the Cougars. We have Formicola, Hicks, Reynolds, and Nixon. For the Dragons, Kelly Slazinski, Hannah Welgars, and Erica Kevnick. Lane 5 and 6 there in the lead. That is 5 and 6 Welgars for Lake Orion, and Reynolds in lane 6 for Stoney Creek. Nice turn by Welgars. Weglars in the lead by just a quarter body length. Let's see what this turn is here. Weglars had a 34.32 on her first 50. See if she can hang on. Backstroke sometimes comes down to endurance. You have a battle on our hands between the Dragons and Stoney Creek here for first place. Reynolds is making a race of it here, the sophomore from Stoney Creek. Strong kick, nice form here for Reynolds. Looks like Weglars is fatiguing just a bit in her arms. You can see the turnover, the speed at which the arms are moving will bring home Reynolds for the W for Stoney Creek. I believe that's her first win of the night. Reynolds in at 110 flat. Again, state cut time for Division I is 101.49. Hannah Welglars is 111.07 for second place. And Dragons take second, third, and fifth. So they outscore Stoney Creek on that event, even though they don't win the event. So nice depth for the Dragons. Here's the 100 breaststroke. We have one heat. In lane 2 for Stoney Creek, we have Katie Munson. In lane 4, Katie Marciniak. Lane 6, Rhea Patel, Alex Felix. In lane 8 for the Dragons, we have Courtney McClear. In lane 3, Nicole Horvath, lane 5, and Marianne Roten in lane 7. Division 1 time is 1:09.79. We'll keep an eye on that. On her breaststroke. Here they come. Looks like the Dragons going 1, 2, 3 so far. It's really important to have quality swimmers who can do the specialty strokes because the points add up quick. Depth on your team is very important in high school swimming, especially where the scoring is going, as we have Courtney McClear in the lead by 1/100th of a second at the turn over Nicole Horvath, 37.31 to 37.32. And these girls are neck and neck through, and it looks like McClear is pulling away here at the last 25. And looks like she should cruise. I don't know, she's closing. Horvath making a race of it. And McClear takes it, 1:17.55 for the Oakland County C-Cut time. And Nicole Horvath takes second place, 1:18.34. And Marianne Roten for Lake Orion, she dropped 5 seconds off her time from her Clarkston swim. She goes 1:29.4 for third place. So the Dragons go 1, 2, 3. I see on the board there the Cougars go 4, 5, and 6. Now we're on to the finale, the last event of the night, event 12, the 400 free relay. And Lake Orion A relay will be in lane 5. Right there, you see, that is Kristen Abassi. It'll be Abassi, Zanea, Matar, Kudla for the A team. B team will be Kevnick, Cullen, Weglars, and Calvert. A team for Stoney Creek will be Novelli, Schurig, Reynolds, and Wasaki. And their B team will be Tudor, Brandon, Bellinger, and Hicks. Looks like there's a little delay here before the start. Exhibition in lane 1 for the D relay for Stoney Creek. And the Dragons will field a C relay of Rutan, Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Solinsky, and Austriaco. Division 1 state cut time for this event is 3:45.09. And the varsity record is 3:39.37, set last year on October 1st. Here we go, first 100, the state or the school records held by Cutler, Bramchek, McClear, and Junkery. I cannot pronounce her last name. She'll be considered one of the greatest swimmers to come through Lake Orion of all time. Annie, out of the Olympic trials. Tough swimmer to replace. The first 50 is concluded. Abassi on the lead, 27.6. And almost 3 seconds on the A relay for Novelli. She went 29.02 in the first 50 split. Here comes Abassi coming home. Good leadoff leg for the freshman. Coach is leaning on experience, and she has it. Even though she's a first-year high school swimmer, she came through the age group ranks, and she knows what she's doing. 56.35 for the first 100 split for Abassi as Natalie Zanea hits the water. Dragons in command here by a mile already. Alyssa Novelli for the Stoney Creek Cougars came in at 1:57 for her first leg, so a 4-second lead set here by the Dragons, an over 4-second lead. Stoney Creek is in control there in second place, though. And the Dragons C squad is moving along nicely, as well as the B and C squad. But the Dragons are in firm control here in this 12th and final event of this dual meet where Stoney Creek, as we have the exchange. And Lydia Matar hits the water, the sophomore. And let's see here, what is Natalie Zanea, she went 27.44 and a 100 time of 56.75. Nicely done. As Lydia Matar hits the water, they are on the verge of lapping Stoney Creek. As you see, lane 2, that is Stoney Creek C relay there, that the A relay is eclipsing there, and Lydia Matar had a 28.66 on her first 50 of this 100. And these girls are driving for a state cut time, and the way this is adding up, it's going to be kind of close here. These girls are bound and determined to make that state cut time. And the anchor leg is Danielle Kudla. And Lydia Matar went 1 minute flat, .02. Katie Reynolds, a sophomore for Stoney Creek, is the third leg, and she finishes her leg at 101.39 as the Dragons are just sailing to a W here. One more 50 to go, and they'll wrap this meet up here at Lake Orion. Danielle Kudla bringing it home in a resounding fashion. Her first split was 27.41, the fastest of all three of the other three relay teammates here. She's on a mission. Look at that form. She is digging in. It's going to be close here. They're going to be off just a little bit, but it's going to be a nice time here for the Dragon Relays. They finish 56.07 for Kudla and a 3:49.19. 4 seconds off the state cut time, so you know they'll be able to drop that during the year. It's always encouraging. It's about qualifying for state and scoring points at the state meet as Stoney Creek finishes second there. And that is Katie Wasaki, finishing. Her split time was 103.87. And Stoney Creek B is also finishing up there. Yeah, Dragons, nicely done. What a way to end the meet here as the other relays are concluding their swims. I think the Dragons took 11 of 12 events tonight, but they also showed their depth in the specialty strokes, going 1, 2, 3 in the breast, which is huge points. And I noticed the lineup changes between Clarkston and Stoney Creek, and Coach is really mixing up the girls, trying to see what combinations work. And here are the finals. You see it. Lake Orion A takes it in 3:49.19. And let's see what we have here. I think we have a couple disqualifications. Lake Orion B and C were disqualified. I believe that might be 2 exchanges. And the Dragons should take this one easily tonight. Just waiting for the final score. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. It was fun carrying this first swim meet of ONTV's ever coverage of swimming here at Lake Orion, and we're going to do more of these throughout the year. We'll be here later in the season, but we encourage you to come on out to cheer the Tankers on for the next dual meet. Check the Lake Orion School athletic page for all the dates and times of the meets and different things going on around the campus. Again, the final here, 116-70. Lake Orion takes it in this second dual meet of the season. They go 1-1 on the year. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your announcer, Ian Locke. We'll see you next time on ONTV Sports.